I don't flinch as much as I used to. I think he's proud of that. I'm terrified of asking him though. What if he's not? Papaji? Or grunt. I grind my teeth. It's an involuntary response. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just that his grunts are confusing. I can never tell if they're a yes or a no. They all sound exactly the same. Lazy, annoyed, like a verbal equivalent of half-heartedly swatting a fly you know won't stop buzzing around you. Papaji, Pia got a scholarship to a foreign university, so she's celebrating. She, uh, there's a dinner at her house. Take your Didi along and be back by 8. A very loud rustle of the newspaper he is reading, followed by a very loud slurp of his tea. No effort to move his eyes up to look at me. Probably for the best. My hair is wet after my shower and it's dripping on my kurta, making a visible splotch on my right breast. He wouldn't approve of that. Oh, okay. I exit the bedroom. It doesn't really sting anymore. It's more the sound of it that startles me now. What were you doing? Fucking boy is in there. Want to be a slut like your sister? Papaji? What, Papaji, Papaji? And you? He turns to my older sister beside me, who still cowers for some reason. If you want to sit on our heads unmarried, at least be useful. Do you want to make your sister unmarriageable too? He doesn't hit her. I feel annoyed at that. He turns to me again, his eyes bulging. I check the time on the wall clock behind him. It's nearly 9:30 p.m. Crap. I don't usually miss this much. I'm not prepared for the second slap, so this time it stings. You know how it feels to not trust your own daughters? He growls, bringing his face closer and spraying mine with spit in the process. Want to be as characterless as your Didi? No more of this dinner shinner with your friends now. If they really want to meet you, they can visit you here. 6 p.m. I want you home. Straight from college. I do flinch when he storms off to his room. I was mentally preparing for a third slap. I'm used to the looks of pity now. I just still don't understand them. My sister is the rightful recipient. Not that I want them for her either. I just don't understand why I have to take my share. Didi? Well, why did you have to do it? Her spine straightens and she stops stirring the vegetables. Why do you ask? Don't know. Everyone talks about what you did and you never talk about why. I keep staring at her back and lean against the kitchen slab behind me, munching on an apple slice. She starts stirring the vegetables again, scraping very loudly, like our mother used to. You're too young to understand. Her voice has left all inflection. You were my age when you did it. And I was too young, I think. That's why everyone blames me. But you were going to get married. Exactly. So, you were not too young to get married? Wouldn't you have done that after the wedding also? God, Mira, I don't know. I mean, I would have been a few months older and I would have been his wife, and I guess that would have been okay. That makes no sense. She stops stirring again. I see her left hand grip her hip and assume she is rubbing her eye with the other one. She turns around to face me, her eyes looking tired. Have you ever considered the possibility that I don't have all the answers? No, she laughs. I start picking at my cuticles. Look, Mira, forget about me. You are too young because I have done this before you. You need to learn from my experience. Learn what? Even you don't understand your experience. That is not the point. I'm still your elder, and I need to look out for you. Papaji is worried because everyone expects you to turn out just like me. We need to prove everyone wrong, okay? Okay. Didi turns back to her cooking. I wish I had another apple slice to munch on. The problem is the smell. No one tells you about the smell. The pundits should also match smells while choosing husbands. The first time I share a bed with a man, I flinch again at his touch and his smell and the sound of his breathing. My wife, he whispers in my ear, his voice repulsively gravelly. I dry heave, hoping he hasn't noticed. If I vomit at his feet right now, it would be a whole new issue, and I would get looks that I actually deserve. I close my eyes as his hand glides to my blouse, which he unhooks before I even register it. I'm panicking so badly now, I might pass out. I hope I do. I wonder if Didi ever felt this panic with whatever his name was. Perhaps not, if she couldn't wait till the wedding. I wish I had talked to her more about this. I cannot disappoint her. He's kissing my neck now. I spasm and move away when I feel the wetness of his tongue. I retch again, hoping now that he does notice, if it can get him to stop. He grabs my wrist and my bangles cut into my skin. I'm pretty sure at least one of them is broken. What happened? He asks, still in that breathy voice which disgusts me to the point of puking. He keeps pulling me back to his chest. His hold on my wrist is so inordinately strong, or maybe I'm just weak, that my arm feels like a leash. No, I begin, having no idea how to finish that sentence. I'm not even sure if I got the words out. I want to turn around to face him. Maybe he'll understand if he sees my face, but he wouldn't let go of my wrist. I'm also sure he has broken more of my bangles, or my wrist. I scream, not voluntarily. He lets go. As I breathe again, after what feels like hours, he turns me around with a jolt that hurts my neck. I meet his eyes, which I had forgotten were light brown in color, and register his hands on my shoulders. His eyebrows are scrunched up in a frown that looks painful to wear. He shakes me, and my neck hurts more. Why am I not saying anything? If I hadn't screamed just now, I would be sure I had lost my voice. What is it? His growl sounds a lot like Papaji's. Nothing. His frown eases a little as his eyes drop down to my lips. I realize just then that my lower lip is quivering. He grabs my chin and kisses me. I retch yet again at the warmth of his mouth. My stomach is churning loudly enough for him to notice, but his moans are even louder. He pulls away abruptly and holds me by my hair, which he has bunched up in his hand at the back of my head. My wife, he mumbles again, his eyes roving all over my makeup-laden face with an expression worse than the moistness of his mouth. I wish he would go back to the frown. He kisses me again, moving my head by my follicles. I'm pretty sure his grip was much lighter a few hours ago at the ceremony, when he touched my wrist while putting the ghee into the sacred fire. If he had gripped me like this then, I would have run away there only. Can I run away now? I've done the bidai. Will Papaji take me back? He took Didi back. Damaged goods, he calls her, but still keeps her at his house. But Didi was never married. She was still his daughter. I am not. I can't be, now that I'm a wife. Why did I do the bidai? What was I thinking? His other hand is under my blouse, pinching the skin on my right breast. I have never felt anything there before. It's as disgusting as everything else is. But maybe it's disgusting because it's new. Papaji slaps were scary too in the beginning. Maybe this too just needs getting used to. I wish the vomiting would stop. I'm exhausted. And I don't even understand what it's all for. I don't recognize the face in the mirror anymore. I had only read about this in stories, this not recognizing your own face thing. Maybe I just remember my face wrong. My throat is itching, and I realize I've been screaming at my reflection. Not that it matters. There's no one in the house to hear it. There rarely ever is. I should call him. But if I let go of my grip on the wash basin, I would fall. I keep gripping. There's no point. He hardly ever has dinner at home anyway. I look down at my bump. It blocks my view of my feet now. I'm so used to the disgust I don't even touch anymore. My soul's hurt, so I move to sit down on the pot beside the wash basin, rummaging in the pocket of my pajamas. I take out the packet of cigarettes and light one up. I'm too exhausted to go out, and he would probably just mistake it for his own smell. I shift, feeling the discomfiture in my back. What really annoys me is how impossible it has become to join my legs together. I have to sit with them wide open like sluts do. Even more frustrating is how instinctively my hand flies to my pump while shifting, as if I give 2 cents about the thing inside banging against the side of the basin. I suck at the cigarette, coughing out nearly all the smoke. I keep at it though, even when it makes my tongue burn. Keeping at it is important. In this cloud of trapped smoke, I'm sure at least some of it will go inside me. When I've got through about half the packet, I take out my phone from the other pocket. I tap his number, just to be able to say to him later I called. I watch rather than hear it ringing out. I then open one of the songs Didi had downloaded for me. I increase the volume and put the phone face down on the wash basin beside me. The acoustics of the washroom make the song 10 times more beautiful. I feel my eyes well up, although from the smoke or the song, I couldn't possibly tell. But the chhod jo aap gujare wo baag bahar khilaye jo baag bahar mein ujde se kaun khilaye. A garden ruined by autumn is saved by the spring. But if a garden is ruined in spring, what can blossom it again? I shift and rest against the wall behind me, feeling the cool steel surface of the flush handle on the back of my head. I close my eyes and rattle the packet to gauge what's left. Not many, from the sounds of it. I put my right foot up on the top of the rim of the pot, my swollen belly protesting against the position. I light another cigarette to resume walking through the packet, breathing deeper with every puff as the song continues to echo off the walls.